And to moderate this particular panel discussion, I've got Shane Naidoo, who's the Executive GIA Head of Digital at FirstRand. And he's going to be joined by his panel, Thembelani Mkhize, Head of Finance at Hollard Investments, Alude 𝐂𝐤𝐴. Were you waiting for that, eh? 𝐂𝐤𝐴, yeah. Legal and Regulatory Counsel, AZA Finance. And then Shergeran Roberto Naidoo, Head Stakeholder Engagement at BankservAfrica. If I please ask them to make their way up on stage. Oh, there you are. Okay, great. And if I can just remind you afterwards, we're going to take a group photo. All right, so don't forget that. And let me hand over to you.
Thanks so much.
Great.
Oh, there's lights of that.
So guys, as you can see, my esteemed panel, as part of becoming on this panel, you'd think you'd need to be a prestige IT in the digital space, in part of the banking and financial and insurance sector, but it's actually, you needed to be bald to try this. So we went by hairstyle. But proud to introduce my wonderful panel that I get to speak to. Some of these professionals have over 20 years experience, and I think we can learn a lot from them. Shergeran, I'm going to hand over to you to just give a quick introduction in Thembelani and Alude.
Cool, thanks Shane. Good afternoon to the 10 people left. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Shergeran Naidoo, Head of Stakeholder Engagements at BankservAfrica. I've been there for coming on 15 years, and and I love talking about our companies.
Afternoon, everybody. I'm Thembelani Mkhize. I work at Hollard Investments. I look after the finance department there.
Nice. Alude?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see our 10 people. My name is Alude 𝐂𝐤𝐴. I am a legal and regulatory counsel at 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐼 Finance. Thank you.
Cool. So as you guys know, I'm Shane from FirstRand, Executive of Digital. There's a lot been happening in the digital space, and there's no conference you go to today you won't hear it's themed digital. It has a digital theme. It's probably the most Googled word, although that's trending at the moment. And there's a lot happening in these industries, and it's so diverse to have you guys. When you look at the evolution about the industry, and Shergeran, I would probably pose this question to the entire panel, starting with you. What has been the evolution of digital in your particular space? And particularly in the last 3 years, we've had COVID, we've had wars, we had quite a bit of enrichment in development of the digital space. But even given these adversities and opportunities, where do you think that's going to go in the next 3 years? So what has been the evolution, Shergeran, from your side?
Thanks, Shane. I think many of you, or a lot of you heard 𝐂𝐴𝐽𝐿𝐼 from the Banking Association, who spoke just a little while ago, and he made a little reference to some of the developments that are currently taking place in the payments ecosystem. I can talk to from our perspective as BankservAfrica. We're a payment clearinghouse system operator, and you find that certainly the developments are moving towards more real-time payments. There's certainly a greater acceptance and an acknowledgement that payments have to be more real-time, that people have to, and all of these things have implications for financial inclusion, trying to enable innovation and the like. But from a payments perspective, you find that a lot more use of technologies such as cloud, such as APIs. You recall one of the speakers spoke about open banking this morning. So certainly that's also another development in the payment space. You find crypto, of course, is the big catchphrase, buzzword, as to how crypto is going to be the use case for crypto, particularly in the payments ecosystem. And if you might have recalled recently that the Financial Sector Conduct Authority have said that they've said that crypto is now a
Financial
product, right? A financial
Yeah,
product.
officially.
They haven't gone so far as to say that it's payment, it's legal tenders yet, because a lot of people are obviously wanting that in terms of the advancement to use crypto. But certainly that is also one of those key developments. Also the use of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, how a CBDC is going to be used from a payments perspective. What does that mean vis-a-vis fiat currency? South Africa, the South African Reserve Bank has obviously been, in fact, I think the stat is about 96 central banks around the world in some form or the other are looking at CBDCs and how that's going to play out. So certainly from in the payment system, those are certainly some of the key things that we've been seeing at this point.
Where do you anticipate we're going to?
So where do we anticipate? So I can talk about a little bit of a use case that's currently underway at the moment. Kumaran had referenced PayShap,
Yes.
RPP. And I've also, during the breaks, have had some discussions with a few of the guys in the conference regarding PayShap. What PayShap is going live in March next year. And it is this, and as Kumaran rightly said, we've had real-time clearing in South Africa since 2006. But what we are doing right now, and this is based off global research and global developments, and particularly you find a number of different countries. India is most prominent in terms of how they have developed and moving, in terms of having embraced digital technology, and also things like digital identity and so forth, and marrying those evolutions to be able to say how can they best serve their people. And so what we're looking at from a PayShap model is that we're looking at introducing a real-time, low-value payment system that uses mobile technology based on on APIs, other technologies like cloud computing and the like, and which will allow people to be able to use proxies, so you don't need somebody's bank account number to be able to make a payment to that individual. You'll also be able to use things like a request to pay functionality, whereby you send a message out to somebody and they click on it and you'll be able to make that payment. So these are the kinds of things that we're seeing in the...
Thanks, Shergeran, for sharing. It's quite exciting. I'm looking forward to what BankservAfrica is going to be doing in this space. Thembelani from Hollard, what has it been like last 3 years of evolution and where we're going in it?
So in the insurance industry as well as investments, so what we've seen is a move towards, let's say, customer centricity, where, you know, we've changed the way that we essentially accessing our customers. So we no longer, or it's in addition to traditional methods such as going through brokers. So now we're able to sell directly to the customer, able to understand their needs exactly, quote them in real time, assess their risk in real time. In the investment space, they're able to, you know, so there's been you know, in the last 3 years, I'd say that, you know, individuals have a lot more access to information, and investments has become a lot more accessible to a lot more people. So what we're seeing is that, you know, the customers, or, you know, our policyholders, they have, they're a lot more savvy now, so they're able to, you know, get that information up front. They're able to compare quotes quite easily between different insurers. They're able to, you know, compare the different fees on the different funds. You know, once they're in, they're able to, you know, see what the investment balances are in real time. If they're not happy with a certain product, they're able to make a switch in real time. So that's been the biggest drive. So it's been giving customers that access to information.
That sounds good. That sounds exciting, actually. More real time, more able to make quick shifts in that space. Yeah, I think that's definitely needed. Alude, Azza, what's it been like in the last 3 years in the digital evolution? Where do you think you're going as well?
All right, let me start here. I'm not here to speak on behalf of Azza. So I'll speak with my experiences, but Azza falls within the BFSI sector. We're a payment and treasury solutions company. But what we've seen, and I'm particularly in the legal and regulatory department, what we've seen around those spaces over the past years is actually a rise, particularly in the legal side of things, in terms of technology, acquiring technology. We've seen what the impact of actually not being digitized is, what happens when you don't have, for instance, contracts in place, or that you can easily retrieve that, or for instance, we do a lot of payments when you have a not so strong or agile or resilient API system. So those are the most things that I would say have really impacted the legal sector. I think them having to understand that we need to transform, not really transform, but we need to adapt to technology. We need to follow technology. Of course, it was a pain for a lot of people because it significantly reduces your fees when you're a lawyer. But that's, including corporates, were quite reluctant to follow in technology or innovative solutions. And I think since the start of COVID, we've been able to be resilient and do that. And also we've seen a difference in how things are doing now. Payments. We now have things like mobile payments. We've got, my brothers just said here about digital currencies, CDCs, central bank digital currencies, yes. There's been a spike in that around countries that we in particular operate in. So I think those are quite impressive developments, and of course the payment methods are increasingly changing. We're slowly moving from physical cash. Of course, there's still quite a big number of people that use physical cash, but there is a good growth in digital payments, alternative payments. So, yeah, I think those are the sort of changes that we've experienced in the sector within
Sounds like a lot from the 3 of you guys, and I think there's so much more that's probably coming in space, but well done with the achievements of what's been done. When I think of these things, and I think of APIs, you think of blockchain and things like that, but you also think about now the scariness of us relying on a third-party data, and obviously the cross-data reliance on that, and should that fail, it could be catastrophic based in all our industries. So, these sort of things sit in my mind, particularly being in the audit space. Shergeran, in your space, we've often hear people talk about, the latest technologies. We need to be following, the big words, data science. We need data scientists all over the space. You need machine learning if you want to be a real digital bank, and, proper artificial intelligence. But, these are always focused around technologies, tools, and somewhat can be intimidating for the person that's actually in the field. That being said, what is it like, when you think digital transformation, what is the mindset of individuals that are going to engage with digital transformation? Is it just as much a people strategy as it is about investing in the right architecture and tools?
Absolutely. To your point, anything can be achieved with technology. I'm a geek. I've always believed that one day we'll be able to teleport and do those kinds of things. It's just a matter of time. So the technology will get there, right? It will catch up to our imaginations. It's really about bringing the people along on the journey. And people are more complex. People are emotional beings. People require a level of certainty, a level of stability, and to be able to buy into a vision. Excuse me. And so from a BankservAfrica perspective, we are embarking on a program called BankservAfrica 2.0, which is very intimately intertwined to the programs such as PaySharp, which is actually one of the first forays into moving into development of a platform business. And we've needed to bring people, so we can invest all the technology in, spend all the money for all the bells and whistles to be able to get to that point. But like I mentioned, APIs, cloud, and so forth. But the people journey, and to be able to bring the people along, that we found we needed to have a standalone, a more focused change management program, which it's called Inspire, Elevate, Activate, which is a program that's been driven out of our human capital area. And the rationale behind it is to be able to try to engender the level of comfort around complexity and comfort around uncertainty, given that people know that we're moving into this new phase, but a lot of them are asking, well, what does it mean for me?
Yeah.
Because we're a 50-year-odd business, right? And we've got a number of people that have been around for 40-odd of those years. And it's about trying to allow people to feel comfortable to be able to change and evolve. And this program has been developed, and we've got international speakers that have been brought in, all with the intention of being able to give people that level of comfort that with the change and what they need to do for themselves.
You know, what you're sharing resonates so much with, I spent 6 years in robotic auditing, and we were very, very infatuated with what we were doing with the tech, and we did something quite exciting. But I must say, one of the things and one of my biggest learning is exactly your point. I wish I could have taken the people on the journey, and I ended up doing that retrospective, which I think I could have done better the other way about. But I suppose that's the advantage of experience, isn't it? You learn.
Exactly.
Thembelani, on your side, and it's not just insurance, Hollard Investments, let's just be clear on that. And there's been a lot of happening in the finance space, particularly when it comes to digital in your world. You know, we talk about finance being hit in the digital world, not just payments. You know, you talk about, obviously, cryptocurrencies becoming a component, but I'm not sure if that's even in your space. But I mean, if you could share what's been recent for you, you know?
So, in my space, what we've been trying to do is to basically, you know, empower, or the end goal is to empower our finance teams. So we want to move away from just that manual spreadsheet crunching or spreadsheet and number crunching. So, you know, we always, you know, people always refer to the finance of the accountants as the bean counters, but, you know, we've got so much more to offer. But then not having the, you know, not having, you know, access to, you know, a digital environment or you know, automated system, it really hinders our contribution to the business. So that's what we are moving towards now. So, you know, we have an instance where, you know, we have, you know, our, you know, external, you know, asset administrator where we get our data from. We need to, you know, working on a solution for, you know, to automate that entire process. You know, your finance team, you know, spends about half a month, you know, processing a journal entry, which is, you know, not something that we need to do. So it's about, you know, delivering, you know, results, you know, reliable, that are reliable and of a good qualities, you know, to enable, you know, our key decision making. So that's what we are moving towards. So it's really just you know, automation of the simplest processes. So from, you know, the beginning of the reporting cycle all the way down to making payments, you know, making sure that those payments are actually paid.
Yeah.
You know, our budgeting process as well. So, you know, we need to be able to be in a position where we're able to, you know, predict. You know, you can't do it with certainty, but, you know, we need to be able to be better equipped to predict, you know, what our financial position or the company's financial position will be like, you know, so we can manage that risk as well.
Thembelani, you guys are bean counters. You've been forecasting budgets for years. Don't think you need machine learning. But I think that's right. I think Thembelani makes a good point. A lot of people and a lot of organizations, they create their focus around, okay, we need to create the highest amount of digital. And Thembelani speaks about a point about, let's just get that basic right. Let's move to base automation. I don't necessarily need anything fancy. And then from there, let's do a step change and a step change. Too often we try to get to that end result to be able to say, we're also using digital and we also got fancy words in our organization. But in actual fact, something like that would be the evolutional based change, serving a customer just faster, being able to produce a process in your area a lot more faster. What took 10 days has now brought back more powerful efficiencies. I think well done for recognizing that. Alude, in your area, legal, this is our legal man. Right. So digital has also introduced new threats to the organization. We talk about big data, and everybody heard that term, big data. That also, and being in the audit field and risk compliance, it also means we can also make big mistakes if I query that big data wrong in a big way. So that's also something that sits on top of mind of digital professionals. But given that, can you share from your perspective, what is it that, that concerns you at this point from a digital evolution, regarding the legality and the regulatory components that's of concern?
Yeah, look, the concept of digitalization is fairly new in the legal community. So there's still a bit of reluctance, hostility from some corners. So a lot of things are still done paper-based, and some people still don't believe that you can actually sign a document via DocuSign. Yeah. They'll ask you what's the validity of it.
Yes.
So it's having to explain those things, break the cycles, for instance. Here in South Africa, not beginning of COVID actually, the courts were not operating, but they came up with a very good solution. What is it called? Some software, I forgot the name, but they're still using it up to now. So slowly but surely there is some sort of a warmth, but that's not really what I'm more keen on. I think I'm more excited about the fact that we're moving to financial inclusivity. We're including everyone. There's nothing beautiful than hearing someone deep somewhere in the studio said, I was able to do a transaction without having gone through the normal traditional financial systems, the banks and all of that. They can send money from point A to point B, which is very fulfilling, and that's what companies like ours, for instance, try to do. And that's how we try and put in those, because you can't have these relationships or partnerships without legal being involved. But now, when you get to a certain jurisdiction, you're coming with a first world mentality. You find some hardship. You're told, no, this is not how we do it. We still use the old way of doing things, or we still use a paper-based system. So I think more about it is more about the contractual side of things, that people are still not sure about it. They don't really trust it. Some will tell you, what's going to happen to my documents? Yeah. I'm not comfortable scanning them through. People will be able to see my personal information. So those are some of the things that we try on a daily to explain to people and show them actually there's no harm to it. Yeah, no, I think, again, resonates a lot. Data governance becoming one of the most important things now in this new digital era. We talk about information leakage, becoming a big concern for organizations like in our sector, particularly in the finance sector. Quite a challenging space to be in.
Exciting as well.
Exciting,
right? Because I mean, we're at that point where we're actually pushing with the thin edge of the wedge, right? And we're actually the ones that are making those forays into these areas of uncertainty, that VUCA world that one of the speakers spoke about earlier.
How do you build an industry lead if you're not willing to take that risk? Spot on. Guys, I'm going to pause there. I see we've got quite a bit of questions from the audience, just edging off to want to ask us a few questions. So to the audio team in the back, I don't know if we could get a microphone, possibly. And if you guys can ask us some questions, particularly we've got a lovely esteemed panel here that we need to peel their brains for the knowledge that they have. We've got a few minutes. Please, if there's any questions.
It's 5 o'clock.
There we go.
Hi. So, interesting dynamic today, and it was quite interesting to see around how we, I think it was Kumaran that talked about the high over-subscribed higher LSM segment for digital. So thinking about that and knowing that in the retail space, if you think about the last I heard the stat was about probably 2 years ago, but in South Africa, cash is still king. So about, I think it's above 60% of all transactions are still cash, right? So with that in mind, and we're saying that digital is the future of this sector, what are we doing about the lower LSMs to bring digital to them, because if you're only going to move to higher LSMs, you're not taking this industry to digital, you're taking a segment of the industry to digital. So the question is, what are we, and maybe not just the panel, but what are we as organizations doing to bring digital to the lower LSMs to take the industry to that sector?
Yeah.
That's a fantastic
I'm happy
question.
to jump in on that one.
Yeah.
So, to your point about and I'm sorry that light is hitting me straight. So, what you were saying about cash, some of the research that we've done when developing the PayShop business case, and PayShop used to be called Rapid Payments. The name going to market is actually PayShop, which we just launched recently. So my mind is still thinking RPP. So apologies if I move between the two. When we were doing the business case, we'd found that the actual statistic or the number from a payment perspective is about 9 out of 10 payments are in cash. So you said 60%. It's actually, from what we found, it's actually higher. And there are a myriad of different reasons as to why many people, particularly those that are in the lower LSM, are reluctant to engage with digital payments. The corollary to that, though, is you find that recent research has shown that we've got about in excess of 80%, it's actually 81% banked people in South Africa, banked adults in South Africa. And you find that the reason for that is that a great number of people in South Africa, so there's this juxtaposition of having over 80% banked, but still having this really large number of people using cash. And it's because a lot of people still don't trust digital, and they have a little bit of a reluctance. So you find that a lot of people that are SASSA grant beneficiaries would actually, and primarily SASSA grant beneficiaries, but also a lot more people as well, particularly from that demographic, would use a bank account purely as a post box. So they would get their money in that account, and they would take out the entire value that's been deposited, whether it's been deposited by a SASSA grant, alternatively a remittance from a family member working in another province or elsewhere. And then they would take all that money out, and then they would be able to control it and try to actually manage that money more tactfully or tactily. Kumaran mentioned, in 6 hours, if everything hits the fan, you'll find that in 6 hours' time, that's pretty much the lead time with which people will go out and try to have to cash out because of the concerns around the infrastructure and so forth. So those are really valid points. If you take a step back, though, if you look at it from the perspective of the SARB, in 2018 they issued Vision 2025, which was the vision paper for payments in South Africa. And one of those, the pillars, there were 9 pillars in Vision 2025, and one of those pillars talks to financial inclusion. Another pillar talks to modernization of the payment system. And it was those factors. We'd also undertaken a global study tour. We'd undertaken research, as I mentioned earlier, in India and a few other, and in fact, a number of other countries as well. And all of these factors showed us that there are a number of different levers that will enable policy, certain policy evolution or achievement of certain policy objectives, such as financial inclusion, right? And one of those things being the modernized system, one of those being a real-time payment system, another of those being the implementation of certain payment standards such as ISO 20022. So a lot of people had erroneously thought that by undertaking, and I'm sorry if I'm getting into some of the real technical stuff here, by just doing a change of the payment standards, that in itself was modernization, and it's not. It's a myriad of different things that needed to be undertaken. So hence, what we've tried to do is to introduce a real-time payment system, PayShop, which will be able to achieve or address the objectives of financial inclusion by making it low cost, allowing it to be able to be used ubiquitously by the lady selling fat cook magwinya under a tree at the taxi rank. Anybody could be able to go there. They don't have to use cash. Currently, it's going to be going in at a payment cap of 3,000 Rand. That's the limit. And that's the initial limit. So it's really low value at this point in time. In time, that value might increase, but hopefully that addresses that objective.
Thanks, man. Sorry, I need to pause you
Apologies.
there. I know that we're a little over time. Speaker, can we close off if you're comfortable? So just on that question, just a little another spin in the retail space. Mr. Price, cash-based business. Studio 8 just recently, 88 to student read just recently purchased that. A lot of cash in that space being transformed into the digital world at tills. That, for me, it's one of the most remarkable use cases at the moment, while we see EdCon being in the position they are. Cash is still king in so many ways. Guys, thank you.
Can I just chip in quick?
All right.
I always wonder when we talk digital, financial inclusion, when we're talking digital, what happens to people that are in deep, far-flung rural areas who struggle to even have network connectivity? How do we expect them to even transact or even do the USSD transaction? You understand? And apparently, those who know telecoms better will agree. Apparently, the issue is with spectrum.
Yes, it's spectrum.
So I think government really needs to sort that out, allocate spectrum sufficiently so that people deep down don't have to travel for kilometers or hours or days just to go access or throw out 350 rands. They can simply, in the comfort of their own house, do all transactions, which we envisage in a financial inclusion society. Same thing, you stay in a township, there's a spaza shop there, most likely my friend will not tap or will not accept your card. So you're forced to really go out there. So I think when we talk these things, sometimes we look at them with just one eye. Our approach is not really too holistic and societal or sociological in approach, because we need to understand the realities that people really face. Or why do we even talk financial inclusion? Why do we even talk people must go digital? You understand? Because it's not just a fancy thing. There's reasons why they can't do it.
Like
a good example is infrastructure.
Infrastructure development.
You understand? Then infrastructure, probably companies don't talk about it. We've allowed it to be the sole responsibility of government. So, yeah.
Thanks, Alude. I think we are out of time, but I want to thank you guys for making the time.
If I could make a last comment on that. So I think, if you don't mind, can I?
Sure.
I'm asking the MC if he will allow
Master
me.
of ceremonies.
Yeah, sure, why not?
And look, with the most exciting
I was about to say, this is the one panel that we have to literally physically
Should have
remove
gone
off
this
the
morning,
stage. I mean, it just keeps going.
So I do think that for full inclusion for all parties of the economy, you cannot have a red brush and paint a digital solution across the whole stack. I think what we need to realize is that digital, you don't build it once and it serves all customers. We need to understand that for different LSMs, we need to build different digital experiences. And until we get that right and we are specific to the customer on the other side of the experience, We build experiences for our businesses. We should be building experiences for the customer. And that we always talk about customer at the heart of everything, but when you look, you struggle to find customer on the page. I think if we get that right, we can transform this industry to be fully digital. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Happy. I mean,
We'll leave it on that note, yeah? Happiness, building experiences for our customers. I think that's a great one to
That's a
leave it
good
on.
one to close up on.
As before we wrap things up, I just want to make double sure that we got your group photo. You want to, okay, so we're going to get a quick group photo of the four of you.
Perfect.
Is that on
Then
stage?
once we're done with that, I'm going to ask everybody who's here in the room to come join us on stage, and then we're going to take like a super group photo. We are. And then I know one of the teams probably from 𝐂𝐲𝐬𝐿 is probably just going to give us some closing remarks, and then we're done for the day. So if I can ask you to take that photo,
Let me know, I need to breathe in.
we'll count to 3.
All right.